Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Devo here. It's been quite a while since my last video, back in BFA, but I figured with the release of Player Housing a few weeks ago, I would show you what I've been working on. You'll notice I am in the spooky corner of Founder's Point, plot 21 to be exact, for those of you that want to know exactly which plot I am at. And as we walk up the path, I want to go over a few different inspirations that I used when I was constructing my plot. The first of which was that I wanted to incorporate my character's Gilnean heritage into the build. And as we approach, you'll notice the first thing we're going to come across is this old Gilnean buggy that I have converted into a market stall of sorts. I've taken the wheels off. Now that my house is constructed, I don't really need the wagon anymore. So I've turned it into a shop with various magical trinkets and odds and ends from my various travels, right? And for any of y'all that think about doing anything sneaky or unlawful, I also brought some good old-fashioned Gilnean justice as well. So before you do anything silly, think about the consequences. Now, the second inspiration I took was I wanted to incorporate a druidic theme. Druid is my favorite class, and therefore I created these. I don't really want to call them moon wells. I feel like a moon well is a very formal structure you might find in a temple, but these are more like naturally occurring things you might find in nature that have been blessed by a loon. So I've created this scenic little sitting spot where you might meditate as you bask in the light of the moonwell. And as I walk to the last thing on the exterior I want to show you, I want to go over the goal of this next spot. Obviously, over the past few weeks, I've seen several builds, several other wonderful players' houses and exteriors. And one thing that I've seen on a lot of them is incorporating a nice scenic view of the neighborhood. And when I'm constructing here, I was like, well, I want to put a view of the neighborhood in my area. And I thought, well, what if I have a spot that looks out over the lake, right? We have this nice, wonderful lake. We have fireflies. There's always some kind of critter sleeping around here. This owl, I swear, never leaves. He's always there watching. We have a raccoon here. We have a fox that will come over to sleep. You can kind of make out, I want to say that might be a skunk or a badger. I know there's a badger and I've seen a skunk around. I don't really know. It's a little too far away. But regardless, as you're sitting here looking out over the lake, you're always likely to find some kind of companionship among nature. So, my three inspirations: Gilnean heritage, druidic theme, and I wanted to add some kind of social or community aspect to my build. As we enter the interior, I will have you know right away that my druidic theme took over my body as I started the interior, so be warned. As we enter the foyer, which is this nice little Caldori tent that kind of frames the entryway. We have my large brazier of a loon that serves as my portal out. You'll notice nice little swirls. I think that looks very portal-like. Obviously, we're surrounded by nature. These are seats where the weary can rest their feet as they enter the house, catch their breath, and then when they're ready, they push through the curtains. And once you're inside, you'll notice a room that I have created to honor some of the NPCs we will fight and see in Midnight. So on the left here, we have Terralion, leader of the Army of the Light, and thus I've kind of used this light theme with his section of this wall. On the far right, we'll have Illyria, the leader of the Void Rangers, right? And I've incorporated void aspects on this side. And then in the middle, where the light and the void meet, is Erator, right? The light from his father, the void from his mother. And I really think it's very poetic, maybe, how I've set this up. That's the vibe I was going with, at least, with the purples and the yellows meeting. You will notice that I gave each of them these matching Silver Moon bushes in honor of Silver Moon City, the new setting of our hub, and where obviously Illyria has a lot of history in Silver Moon City. Eritor too, probably. But this is my little spot in honor of these 3 NPCs. You meet them right away when you enter. So, remember when I said the interior of my house was going to be overgrown and, well, maybe I didn't say overgrown, but it is overgrown if you haven't caught on already. It is as if a forest has burst through my floors. Plants everywhere. That is the vibe I was going with, and I will go a little more in depth in a second. But first, we're coming up to my first of my closet gardens, as I like to call them. In this one, we have our shovel tusk that has come up to graze in the yard. He's a little shy. He doesn't move a whole lot. When he sees you looking at him, he freezes. I think he thinks we're like T-Rexes and we can't see you when you stand still, but yeah. This would be my bedroom. We have a nice little spot here, a little study spot where you can sit, you can read a book, you can relax. As you walk around, you'll notice another closet garden, this time with our stag coming to graze and finding a bite to eat. We have a map of Gilneas, we have some druid rune stones. Here's my bed, also from Gilneas, quite bouncy. And then in here we have our changing room. We have a bathtub. This is obviously not an actual bathtub, so it messes up the camera when you sit in it, but you can sit in it. And we have to keep an eye on Zaltath at all times. We never know what she might be plotting. We have laundry, we have a mirror, typical things you might see in a washroom, right? Now, as we leave the bedroom area, we move into the central garden section. This is the section of the house that I built first, and it revolves around this centerpiece that we'll talk about in a little bit. I'll just give you a quick view of the surrounding fauna, or flora, right? Fauna is animals, so flora. Here we go. Nothing too crazy, just plants everywhere, all overgrown. And now, the centerpiece. We have this fountain built. So we have 2 fountains here, clipped into each other to create this kind of water leads into each other all the way down to the bottom. In the fountains, I put this brazier of a loon that helps create this kind of these little wispy things that are going up. In the ceiling, we have the void well turned upside down with a large brazier of a loon turned upside down to create this beam of light effect. Now, as we back up, I think this is the best shot of the centerpiece of the garden, right? We have the void orb perfectly aligned right over the fountain, almost as if it's dipping into the fountain. I really like this view. Okay, don't mind this room. I'm out of house budget, so this is just where my layout will continue in the future, but I wanted to get a good viewpoint of what this would look like because I knew it would look really good coming from this way. The last room I'm going to show you is my social goal again. So remember, part of my goals was to include some kind of social aspect, a place for the community to come that wasn't just my own personal druid heaven, which is what the rest of the house is. This part is meant for the community, right? As we walk up, you'll notice I got a built-in security system for anyone that gets too rowdy in the social area. We have a guest book for those to make sure that the people that come inside are those that have been invited and not just random people trying to break up the party. And then once you go inside past the curtains, you'll come into my bar. On the right side, you'll notice I have a beer pong setup going on. We have barrels for the Alliance, we have barrels for the Horde, and then we have 3 little ping pong balls. The astute-eyed, or the more observant of you, might notice that these are the same thing as this fence post, but it's been shrunk down and just the tip-top part of it is showing to the table, right? So that's how I got the ping pong balls for my beer pong table. Now, here we have our karaoke stage. Above it, we have a flower-breathing dragon. Figured that was a nice touch. Here we have a microphone. This is technically just a candlestick turned upside down, but I thought it looked close enough to a microphone that it worked. We have a piano with a sittable stool while you're playing your tunes. We got a drum set for you to sit in while you're banging on them drums. We have our karaoke machine. We got my life savings under alarm at all times. And then as we go over here behind the bar, you'll notice I have a setup for all these ingredients that the bartender might use to mix your drinks. We have a sink, we have a business ledger, we got all kinds of booze and other supplies for rowdy customers. All kinds of fun things. Okay. So that's it. Notice I still kept that druidic theme in here, but I definitely backed it down quite a bit. And to be honest, I might need to go back to the rest of my house and do a similar thing in some of the other spots, because while I do really like the view, I also like having budget available to play around with. And currently, I've used all my budget, for the most part, on plants in the hallways and in the other rooms. Literally overgrowing with plants. But in the day, I really like it. That about covers it, though, as we come back to our entryway. If you saw anything that you liked, or if you saw anything that you have a question about, feel free to ask about it. I have no problem answering a comment or two about how I did something or how I clipped something like I did. I'll be happy to help. But until then, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all later. Have a good one. Bye.